Welcome, everyone, to Fate Awakens Above Table number 9.
Woo!
I cannot believe it's been enough episodes for you guys to have 9 episodes with yours truly. Well, I guess 7 episodes with me and 2 episodes with you, right, Joey?
It's true.
So I've got
before it was Bolgram.
That's right.
all of the current cast of Fate Awakens.
Oof.
We are a chair short or a chair extra with Hannah currently not joining because her character Arine has left the party.
Talk all sorts of stuff.
That's right. She's not here anymore.
Yeah. So
never liked her.
I guess
if anybody was curious, she's actually fired.
Yeah.
There was some contractual.
Yeah. She found out she was making 2/3 of what you guys were making, so she left.
Yeah, she just left.
A little too bold.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I am here.
Now she ruined it.
So,
Alright. That's a good bit.
That bit's dead. Let's move on.
All right, welcome guys again. So this episode of Above Table is going to go through, check my notes, 43 through 46. So again, if you haven't watched those episodes, please go back and watch them so that you do not get spoiled. There are massive spoilers ahead regarding all of the content from the entire campaign, specifically 43 through 46.
This whole show could also be named Spoiler Warning.
That's true. So without further ado, thank you guys for joining us, and Hannah for being off screen.
You're welcome.
We'll start with episode 43. So the first person to wake up when Arine is gone, which is the second person to leave this party, is Edmund.
No one likes us.
Yeah.
Everyone hates us.
It's seemingly the last person in the party that Edmund had a personal connection to before all of this started.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't find the note right away either, though. So I was like, oh, she must be at breakfast or something, right? So, like, I went to go just to the dining hall to eat, wait, hang out.
Start my day.
Little did you know.
Wax my joints.
So I was kind of oblivious, almost.
So I do have a question. Edmund's older, so he wakes up at like 5 a.m. Does he usually notice that Arine's gone?
Sure. I mean,
probably.
like, Arine,
she's a half
for 4 hours,
right?
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so her not being there is not
shocking.
necessarily odd. You know what I mean?
Sure. That's fair.
Edmund's so old.
So
Paid for college with a librarian salary.
As a character, how...
I am the college.
This obviously doesn't hit as hard as Draw leaving, because you were a little closer with Draw, Edmund was closer with Draw, but this is the last character that really tied you back to Aussie Rune.
For sure. Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Razim also gone.
Yeah, Razim kind of...
In the wind.
Not necessarily in the wind, because, you know, I know where he is, but contained to the point where he's no longer an immediate problem we need to solve. Drawl, presumably on another plane of existence, and Arine kind of leaving in the middle of the night. She made up her mind, I think, long before any of our talks even mattered, you know. Because we were talking about wait until the next day, and we'll use sending to contact these people, let them know you're coming. Like we tried to be super planny about it, and when we woke up, she was just gone. Yeah.
Well, as somebody that's watched from the outside, it seemed to me like Arine was always gathering these skills and whatever, right, in order to go back and fix her monastery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Right? It fits the character to have her go back and be like, okay, well, the Rube's going to go back and figure this stuff out with Osos and, you know, do the assassin thing and spy network, yada, yada, yada. The rest of you guys aren't really good at that.
Mm-hmm. And Osos has been like on all of our minds, you know, for a while. We just haven't really wanted to take the time and energy to go all the way back there, right? We thought that there was maybe more things we could accomplish while we were here. It seems like at a certain point, Arine felt, I really got to get back and fix.
Yes.
Like, I can't wait any longer.
Yeah.
There was multiple points in the story where we actually said we were looking for Desiree and looking for Kapoor before she flipped out, specifically to get someone to teleport us over there. We wanted to deal with it, but it was like there's 6 of us. We travel so heavy, like it takes too much time, and it was a whole lot of like, if we're over there, then we can't fix anything else. So it's just a big, like, something to devote too much time to. And I think Arine finally found herself in a position to where, you know, if she just splits off, that's working on a problem, and we keep doing what we're doing. So Domik wasn't actually surprised. It was just makes sense, and the world keeps on spinning.
Well, and obviously Arine had a big problem with Osos.
Yeah, for sure.
Before he was throwing fire.
Yeah. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, he was always a bad one. We're gonna have to deal with that at some point. And that was like Kapoor's whole thing too. Kapoor wanted us to do it, and I think we just kind of dug our heels in because she told us to. And we're like, well, now I don't want to.
Ruby wanted us to take out Osos.
Yeah, Osos is clearly something that it was a problem. We weren't in a position to deal with it, and I think Arine was like, well, I finally find myself in a position to deal with it, so it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, so after that, Arine leaves, you guys decide to take a bit of a day off.
Sadness resolves.
Yeah, I feel like everyone was impacted in some way. I mean, Edmund obviously pretty heavily.
Well, Arine got really close to Jethro throughout most of the story as well.
She was the only one who
helped me burglarize things.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was like Arine was the only one who, when Jethro was like, "I have to kill people," Arine was like, "Okay,
I get that."
But it was she was like, "I want to help by killing bad people." So we had like a mutual agreement of, which Remdil was also in the room when the agreement was made, that if bad people need killing, that we will work together to kill bad people, not only to make a better world, but also to satiate the impending doom of Jethro's lack of a soul / fealty to a devil / possession /
We got it.
general evilness.
Makes sense. But you guys spend a bunch of time in the tavern talking. Bolgram talks out his issues regarding his incompetency in battle.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it.
Seems about all or nothing for Bolgram. He's either kicking the shit out of Kapoor or kicking the shit out of his own friends.
Yeah, I don't. So in the story, it makes a lot of sense for that to be a thing that Bolgram has to work through because it is a part of his backstory, and then it happened in real life. And we talked about this a little bit on the last above table about how in the middle of battle he was forced to flip allegiances and started beating on his own players or his own team. So that's rough. He's got to make amends for that, and I think I offered both Arine and Jethro one favor, which they can cash in at any time. And I think based on kind of Bolgram's backstory and how honor and all of that is like a big part of his tribe and all of that, it would make sense that he would offer that to those folks to kind of try to make amends. But then, we make a toast to Arine. We wish her well. We all kind of give her our own version of blessings and wish her the best. And then we realize, we got a job to do. We still gotta figure out what's going on and tackle things on this end.
I mean, that's pretty mature for a D&D party. So,
I mean, what else is there to do?
Yeah, there's a lot of drinking in that too.
As would anybody, having to run through all
downers.
this. Yeah.
What if Arine would have, like, the whole favor thing goes, all right, will you come with me?
I mean, the character would have had to go, and then I would be rolling a new character.
Would it be a power move? Take somebody else out with her.
Slightly glossed over, but it was pretty cool because there's been like a slight hinting at the enmity between like Avariccia and Avaya. Like Avaya is seen as a good god. Avariccia is seen as this evil devil that steals souls and is like all bad all the time. And
pretty much nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Found it.
And Bolgram has said, like, Avariccia is a nightmare that we tell children.
Actual
that's what struck me in the beginning.
And
Where it's
then-
like, I feel bad, and Jethro's like, oh, let me pray with you to Avariccia. And Bolgram's like, this seems like a good idea. Well, back in his backstory, didn't he say that Avariccia was like the boogeyman?
There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of guilt.
Also, like, Bolgram is eating himself alive with guilt in terms of, like, he screwed up big time.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Jethro being like, let's pray, Bolgram's like, I don't want to, but I also killed you yesterday, so...
Yeah.
But
I mean,
above table, he didn't screw up. That's just part of D&D combat.
No, for sure. But we're playing it up because it makes sense that my character would be.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the different characters at the table are dealing with their own stuff. Like everybody's got stuff in their backstory that has either come out or hasn't come out yet. Maybe will come out. It just seems that it's Bolgram's time right now to deal with this whole this whole journey from like magic's bad, we gotta stop magic, maybe magic's good, I can't control myself. Everything that I thought was real isn't real anymore. Now magic's real and everybody's popping off with spells. I thought that Avaricia was this like boogeyman, but clearly maybe she's, you know,
she's all right.
Maybe she's all right. Whatever. I will pray to whoever, and he's really lost at this point. Like all the things that he thought were really his, you know, I mean, to his core, he's still true to himself and his family and all that. But he's a fish out of water.
Right. So Bolgram mentions in one of his conversations that, well, it really only happens when I rage and this, and that, and the other. So what if I didn't rage? And mechanically, obviously, and how we play the characters here, right? We play them character based, not, you know, optimization based. So, but at the same time, a barbarian that doesn't rage, the last battle is a loss if the barbarian doesn't rage.
Yeah, that's just a shitty fighter.
You're a fighter without a subtype.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I didn't rage for several episodes when I first jumped into the party for that very reason. He was still kind of gun shy about that whole thing. But at a certain point, you know, we're playing a game here. There's a lot of useful things, like teleporting all around the field and throwing his axe and having it come back to him. And there's a lot of cool things about the subclass of the Wild Magic Barbarian that are very cool and are very can be very story driven. And I would hope that this continues, this whole being able to figure things out. Mechanically, it'd be really cool if the DM, allowed some control over that. We'll see what happens if we homebrew some stuff. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he takes any of the. I think Totem of the Bear has some protections against that, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, maybe.
Sounds right.
Or there's lots of magical items, but in his campaign so far, that there are lots of magical items that help with that issue.
Right.
But in his campaign, magic's been gone, so there's not a whole lot of magical items to give out.
Yep.
And you're only level 5, and that's a pretty high level magical item.
And it could happen to anyone. Let's be real.
Like, also plays.
But when you take the potion of growth and end up 9 feet tall,
right,
swinging an axe at people or whatever, that's what happens.
It's true. It's true. Well, we will see what happens with him. He's pretty guilty about it, but he's hoping to make amends in the future.
All right, so after all that therapy session, you guys decided to use Zone of Truth, which should have been used on the therapy session personally, but I'm sure it's in character for Domik. You guys use Zone of Truth and Speak with Dead on the skull.
Using Zone of Truth on your allies is generally frowned upon in D&D worlds.
I'm not above it. I'm just not that kind of cleric.
Well, I think me and you were the only ones in the room anyway, right?
Also, to be fair, imagine how that would go. Jethro would most likely make the save.
Yeah.
But no one else would. But Jethro is definitely going to lie and be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely affected by the Zone of Truth.
The Zone of Truth thing is really funny because it hits everyone except for people who are really naturally good at lying anyway, so it's like, what is the point?
Yeah.
It's like if you have a huge
great at
charisma
interrogating commoners.
That's right.
Yeah,
or villains or bad guys, yeah. Cool.
But it's not going to tell, the best liar in the world all your secrets, But anyway, Domik's not going to sit here and deal with other people's problems. We got huge world-ending issues, and we're going to deal with those world-ending issues. If, you have to, if it means someone has to go and cut themselves later at the night, it's
mental
whatever.
health issues be
just,
damned.
It's just Domik, man. I'm not a good person. I'm not a bad person. I'm just neutral and to the point. So anyway, let's talk to Skull.
Skull. So you Speak with Dead, and
that wasn't targeted. That was just thrown into the ether.
Speak with Dead. You get five questions. I think you did a good job actually taking notes before casting Speak with Dead.
Yeah,
because the issue I think a lot of people have.
Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna ask.
And then they accidentally ask a question in the middle of it, or waste things.
Yeah.
So I think it went rather well. You guys figured out that the hidden pillars confirmed. Yep.
I took notes on this.
The hidden pillars are actually a thing, and they are tied to the cultists that attacked you, or the people that attacked you, who are now cultists.
We know.
Tyrannus is a cult leader of some import.
Or he's the guy who sent the hit out on us.
Sure.
Yep. Not Kapoor, because we were expecting it to be Kapoor.
So Kapoor is also a leader.
Yeah, I don't remember. Did you ask the skull about Kapoor specifically?
No, I don't think we did.
I think we said.
We asked.
Who sent you?
We said who sent you, and he answered Tyrannus. We also asked. I wrote my note says leader ? So I don't remember exactly what the question was, but the answer was one of the 12. So I don't know if he meant Tyrannus was one of the 12, implying that there was 11 more people, of which Kapoor is probably.
Considering later you find out from Kapoor that there's at least 2 more that she mentions.
Yeah.
Fleshing out to 12 seems to be.
Yeah, it feels thematically appropriate.
One for each set of pillars.
Right. Yeah, that's even after you folded 2 questions into one, you got an answer. I'm curious if Kapoor ever crossed your mind of asking him specifically. Because later on in these episodes, you guys start talking, it's like, well, it seems like the hidden pillars might be on our side.
Yeah.
And then Kapoor might actually be the bad person.
In a way.
We talked about that possibility.
We're not sure. We still don't have enough information to go off.
I mean, they did attack you guys first. So,
but they came right when Kapoor was supposed to come.
But we're trying to mess with the pillars.
Yeah, so I will say, a question that I thought was going to be a waste of a question was, where's your base of operation, where's your HQ? And he said, everywhere. Which means it's a continent-wide organization, a worldwide organization?
Well, it's like the Illuminati. It's a pervasive cult, right?
I mean, I feel like the current theory is there's most likely 12 leaders. But we don't know what exactly.
12 sets of pillars are spread across the world, and they have...
Each leader has followers, worldwide cabal.
We know Osos is probably the leader over at by Aussie Rune. Faemorn. We would guess that the one that we just went to probably is Kapoor if she's with the hidden pillars. If not, then maybe not everyone has a. We talked about that too.
So,
right?
but Kapoor also was one of the people that wanted you to go and murk Osos. So do you guys think that's
internal power?
That's a power.
We have the theory that she
like,
wants to use us to climb the ladder. Potentially.
Perhaps.
Because theoretically, I mean, if they were using Razine to siphon power, theoretically, the more pillars you control, the more power you can siphon. If she can take out Osos, she can move on his pillars, snatch them up.
Sure.
Send us to take out Tyrannus.
She's totally like Pillar, right? Like I didn't miss something completely. She's in the cool.
I think we're of. I mean, she had the hidden.
She had the ring, right?
She had the hidden pillars ring, yes. Which Jethro wears.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, so then it's obvious.
The ring is obvious.
She has the same type of ring as all the other hidden pillars.
I guess, yeah. Okay.
It's so weird.
Except hers has the boss sign on it.
2 hash marks.
And then,
which would explain why she wanted Razine taken out, because Razine was Osos's siphon.
Which I believe we had a theory we discussed between the 2 of us that it could be like a cheesy Roman numerals thing, where she is the second leader of the second set. Maybe there's someone with 1 hash mark that's 1 leader of the first set.
Yeah, we need more information.
Could be like a number of pillars type deal.
But then, can we talk about that? Yeah, we can talk about everything. But then we
talk about everything. Yeah.
Yeah. You took over the one guy, right? Mm-hmm. And his ring had the pause sign as well.
We don't know.
No, his ring.
We're skipping ahead a little bit.
This is a good thread. That's fine.
When Jethro,
I mean, we can jump back.
Yeah, we can jump.
When Jethro possesses the guy in episode 46, the very end, his first instinct is what items are on him to disarm him, gets rid of his spellbook, and spoiler alert for episode 47, his next reaction is to look at the ring.
But you didn't do that.
The episode ended with Jethro raising the ring, and just before the DM described what the ring looks like, we cut.
Alright, so it could be anything.
So we are definitely huge cliffhanger. So it could be 2 marks, meaning it's the same as
So look for that cliffhanger on the episode on this upcoming weekend, on Friday. Mm-hmm. You'll find out what the ring is.
Yeah.
So jumping back to the Speak with Dead, because I saved the question, I had an empty slot, and I was like, I don't know what to say. And my last question was, what is your organization's ultimate goal? And he said, complete control. Which feels like, obvious, but is also kind of like terrifying with an organization that's everywhere, and what their plan is complete control. Complete control over what?
Complete control of what, right.
Like the pillars, or like all of the world?
We haven't seen that the hidden pillars have made any kind of power moves yet, right? So like nobody else in the world really knows what they're... No one has mentioned them. We've run into them. We kind of think that they're involved with breaking the pillars to release magic. Their ultimate goal being complete control doesn't still answer kind of what their ultimate goal is. We don't know.
Yeah, it's...
Because if they said, like, to unlock all 12 of the sets of pillars, like, we would know, okay, cool, so that's what they're trying to do, but we don't have any...
But it could be a classic if everyone's super, nobody is kind of situation where maybe there's this elite
They're
that
trying to
is in
disperse
control
it.
of all magic, and so if they can crack open these pillars and everyone has magic,
They're Robin Hooding magic. Just
yeah. I as this goes on, I am less inclined to believe that the hidden pillars are completely evil.
We'll see.
When this first kicked off, I was like, oh yeah, they're evil people. They kidnap children. They suck magic out of
Complete
these pillars.
control seems pretty definitive.
But complete control
of what?
Of what? Are they trying to lock away magic because it's harmful? Or are they?
They have like minions and spooky robes. I will say it also. Chris played that well because the spell.
You just described religion to a cute.
Robes.
I'm just saying, like it's the famous one man's terrors.
Well, also the spell only. Sorry to cut you off. The spell only tells me what they know, and if that dude was a minion, right? He's not the mob boss, so. He knows that they want control. He doesn't know, all right, we're planning on doing this. He doesn't know the steps. So the fact that the guy only said control, it makes sense. Like, that's all he's aware of.
So my question on those minions, though, is... I don't know if anyone in the party has thought about this before, but... the minions presumably already worked for the Hidden Pillars before the rifts appeared.
Logistically, yeah.
Presumably.
I'm assuming they haven't amassed a worldwide army.
If that's true... where did they get their magic from? Did they have magic before the rifts or after the rifts? Did the Hidden Pillars break the pillars and then strategically place their minions to obtain magic?
So I thought of something in the middle of that question that I realized we did not do. Or at least I don't remember doing it. Did we check, like, what race everyone was? No. Were they, like, all elves? Or were some of them...
I assume they're all elven humans or else it would have came up.
What?
We didn't.
We've pretty much been operating in the assumption that everyone we approach is human elf.
No, but my point being, we know elves could do magic before, but we don't know of any humans that could.
And we now know Dragonborn have retained their innate magic.
Right.
Recently, yes.
Well, tell me why it's important to know who could do magic before and who couldn't.
Because it would tell us if they had a human in their midst, then they're like us, and they just got their powers.
I got you.
Therefore,
and if that's the case,
they were recruited.
The Hidden Pillars planned this because they were already minions of the Hidden Pillars before that. It takes longer than 2 weeks to radicalize someone.
But it seems random.
You'd be surprised.
That, like, who gets powers is not about proximity to the pillars or anything.
Sure, yeah.
Even if
as far as you know, though.
Also, if they had access... So, we know they used Razim to siphon power. You're not just going to funnel a bunch of power to a child and then be like, all right, now what? You know?
Or did they take all that power
are they funneling it into Razim and then using Razim to disperse that power?
Or are the minions a result of all of the failed child experiments that they then siphon the power into minions for?
Still so many questions.
A lot of questions.
And again, all we know about is the one failure with Razim where he's siphoning but then he escaped and he's been creating these rifts, but who knows if that's one set of pillars in one part of the world. We're in a whole other part of the world now. For all we know, these people have been just walking up to a pillar, touch it, get some magic, walk away.
Yep.
We don't know.
How many people do we know of that have powers to our ability that are not...
Pillar-wise?
Yeah.
None.
Just...
Like, did Ruby...
No.
She was just like a rogue, right?
Well, she said she had some...
She had a couple followers that had, like, teleport and some high-level stuff.
Yeah, we should have... What was up with her teleport? That's like...
The one that died?
Yeah, we should have asked about that. Like, where'd that come from?
I mean, what is this, 1 in a million? Like, I don't know. Like,
What's the world population?
He's described other characters becoming better, like Thunderfoot.
Yeah.
Thunderfoot's the last one I can remember.
That was so long ago.
Freaking Thunderfoot.
And the one teleport.
What a doofus.
Yeah. I mean, there's been other mentions. There was like the one guy who said he got stronger, like physically stronger, which we'd assume is barbarian fighter class.
Yeah, and I think you asked Dagofa, if he had, because you had asked if anybody else on the ship was powerful, and he was like, oh, well, when I was in port, there was a few folks who were doing some crazy stuff. So it still seems like super rare.
It still seems like 6 in Aussie Ruin is a bit much compared to the scatterings of the rest of the world.
Us 6, which we know obviously above table, it has to be.
It has to be.
But it's interesting that us 6 have powers, all the Hidden Pillars have powers, and then there's random, like, 1 per city instances.
Right.
So there's 6 in Aussie room,
That we know.
all the hidden pillars, and then
I don't think that we'll ever really get an answer to like how it works until we track down the.
Yeah, I think that you'll get an answer, but it's going to be in episode like 200.
Well, and then you got people like
That's depressing.
I mean, if a commoner gets wizard, like they don't have an old book lying around with spells in it.
how many
It's like
people,
sure you have the
falling to
potential.
them.
how many
but
people
the
have
tools to
powers that they
actually-
don't know about?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, how many pit fighters suddenly swung a little harder, but they're just attributing it to a good day?
Right.
That's kind of what I did.
Or they're like farmers, and they're like, man, I'm getting strong. This wood is not as heavy.
Yeah, if
You know,
Remdil
like,
was just Remdil and we weren't there, Remdil just keeps doing Remdil and just is a very good
fighter.
That's crazy to think about.
Right. There might be people with powers that just aren't pledging themselves to demons, or has a spell book on hand in their library. Devils, whatever.
That's fair. Well, to get back to small scale,
Yeah.
as opposed to overarching.
Yeah, please. It's so exhausting.
So much.
So exhausting.
So, Domik, how surprised were you to see one of your dad's ships? Come into
Pretty
port.
surprised. This is above table. I can tell secrets. Not too super long ago, maybe like a month or so ago. Chris got, DM Chris contacting you. Was like, hey, just kind of working with some details. Well, just making sure I got everything on your backstory, right? Because we hadn't talked about it in like a year and a half. I was like, yeah, just this, that was all it is. And he's like, okay, cool. And that was all it was. And I went to bed, and a month later, like, he shows me this, which is SSC, the logo of my father's company, which is the Senate Shipping Company, if anyone cares. It's my last name. Didn't expect it, but that's super cool.
That you see that, yeah.
And yeah, I wrote a lot of my backstory, but I left a lot of blank spaces for Chris to fill in. I mentioned that, you know, there are Goliaths that would help us with the thing. And I was like, maybe some other races. And I left that blank. Had no idea stone giants. He put that in there. I didn't come up with stone giants. So I was like, oh, those are full-on giants. How big is the ship? Oh, it's like a freighter. Like,
It is huge.
it's huge.
I mean, yeah, how do you move freight without cranes?
Yeah, it's
Goliaths and
stone
stone
giants. Yeah.
Stone giants, I guess, yeah.
Which is when we found out that you and I speak giant,
Yeah.
and no one else does.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it before that I speak giant, but I assumed it was just, you know, that's Goliath speak giants, so like half giants, but I didn't think it'd be like full on giants, which is super cool. It's a little bit of world building that we kind of worked on together. I think it's neat to have like, you know, these little shipping crates with my family brand that could pop up anywhere. I don't know how much impact it'll have, but it's definitely super cool.
helping
I mean,
us.
it's
helped
helped
us
you
right
yeah,
now.
it's
Yeah.
helped you so far.
That's true.
Free freight.
Yeah, free travel to where you need to go.
I technically don't know if I have like the authority to just like commandeer a ship, but I kind of operating on over if you say something with enough like authority in your voice, no one will question you. And I like Degotha. Degotha's my boy, apparently.
Yep, fake it till you make it.
Gofa thought you had enough authority.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm
do whatever
pretty
you
sure
want.
I don't, but I was
You're
like, yeah,
gonna pay
we're
him,
just
and
gonna
he's
do this
like,
real quick.
"No."
And I was like, got it, boss.
Well, I'm sure there's stuff that he can pick up there too.
Yeah.
You know, in Citadel and take it back to wherever he's going.
And like they're like a ship, right? They're used to delays and things, you know, bad days and good days, so it shouldn't be a huge problem. They did what they did the delivery, so I feel like there's some wiggle room to
That's fair.
literally save the world.
So in 44, you guys decide, okay, we're going to go to the Citadel. And the next 2 episodes are a bunch of small port towns. Predominantly with nothing in them.
We went to Avaricia Land.
Yeah, so Jethro made some converts out of
Formerly known
a
as
small
Hicktown.
fishing village.
The less we can talk about this, the better.
Yeah.
It was
Their souls are supposedly still intact at this point, but
Allegedly, yes.
allegedly. And then you guys hit that town to no name. You guys hit a small town called Stony Landing,
Yeah.
which
with the
was
stony spell.
nothing.
We
Literally nothing.
Stepped on the shore and stepped
We
back.
talked
Yeah.
about food, and you were like, "Yeah, we can eat some food," and we were like, "No, let's just."
And that's like the problem with making a map and then the world and then putting players into it. You just have empty places where like nothing hot important is going to happen.
Right.
So you can't be like, no, it doesn't exist because it's on the map.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing to do there.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
That's fair. As a DM myself, for those kind of instances, when I have a detailed map like that, I like to montage. Okay, you guys hit 3 fishing villages. You know, there's nothing there. You guys can roll a d20 for how many converts you got, from your preaching, and call it a day.
A lot rough.
I mean, there was 12 huts in Avaricia, and seemingly you got several converts out of that. So
Allegedly, the whole city.
yeah, which 12 huts,
small village.
d20,
The whole family.
whatever. You guys actually eventually ended up at Terranfort Harbor,
The
which is
good
where
one.
things finally picked up a little bit.
You got-
You guys met the harbor master.
Wait, you're forgetting that we went fishing between
Oh yeah.
You did go
before
fishing.
we got to.
Oh, that's
and
right.
caught
was-
a rather large fish.
That's right. Sorry. Continue.
I mean, it was pretty fun to do D&D fishing and actually use magic.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Vengeance for the preseason whale or pregame whale.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. We did go fishing. We caught a fish. We found out that Chill Touch neither does cold damage nor is a touch
range-
spell,
yeah.
which is very
Ranged
interesting.
necrotic
It's a
spell.
range
Yes, it's
Either
Right.
chill or touch.
terribly named.
But we were able to, with some subclass features, make it cold,
I made it cold.
and it was pretty dope.
Nice.
It was awesome.
We fixed it.
We fixed it. We fixed the dumb spell.
We have fixed
And
it.
there are going to be
That's
times
what
where there's
Chill Touch.
downtime where we're just
That's
messing
the same,
around. And
but
doing
Yeah,
something.
no, that's part of D&D just as much as, following the main plot
It's
is,
better.
That's right. But that was fun.
Nice.
along with random encounters and
And
all that.
Bolgram got to speak in Giant, which was fun.
Or levitated a fish.
Is it anything like whale? Do you just do like really long, drawn out?
We found out that Giant was essentially king of the hill.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Good times.
So that was fun. It's always fun when you have an accent as a player to get to every once in a while drop out of that accent and use something different.
That's funny. That's great. So you guys do end up in Terranfort Harbor,
Yes.
and you guys talk with the harbor master,
Mildly helpful.
who was actually helpful.
a little
He
bit.
even offered up the logbook to you guys, which
We haven't got a chance to inspect
I don't
it.
know if that required a persuasion roll. I don't remember.
No, he pretty much
But
was
he's just
yeah.
like, oh yeah, sure, I'll help you. Here's my logbook.
Well, he was super busy, and he was like, "I don't want your money. I haven't heard of this person.
Yeah,
If you want to check the logbook, go check the logbook. I don't care."
It's probably more to get us to shut up. but
Which
that's fine, we'll take
assumedly,
it.
I mean, based on my limited knowledge of dispatching in trucks, I mean, it's pretty much like if you come in, you sign the book, show what you're carrying. It's just more for like their reference.
I think.
So it's not like it's private information.
Right.
Anybody who's carrying goods would have access to the logbook.
in game, it may pan out that we find some information from it. It may not, but it's always fun to, we'll have. It's our DM is really great about actually literally like he'll print out, and like write out stuff for us. And even if it's not helpful, it's fun to have the physical logbook that we can. If we hear a name, we can always be checking back to see like, oh, dude, they actually came through the town we were in.
Which, side note, the cool thing with that, with him actually, instead of, because you sometimes play D&D and it's like, oh, do I find anything interesting? And it's like, oh, you find out that this person was in the city. Like that, it kind of like gives you the answer, but with Chris, it was like, what do we find out? And he's like, here's the paper. What
You do the work.
What do you find out?
Yeah.
And like, there have been things where like he's given us a paper and we've overlooked something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then,
Grossly overlooked.
and then we come back later and we're like, hey, we
Gosh,
missed this. So it's kind of cool because it puts more. We are actually doing the investigating, not just making an investigation roll.
do your homework, kids.
We have literally, after the camera's cut, there have been plenty of times where he's sat around and like made notes and actually gone through the handouts he's given us, like
Right.
actually inspecting them.
Like Osas's journal. Like
Man.
it was
Yeah.
it was just dates and like his personal journal. And like some of it you're like, that means nothing. Like he's like, lunch today was a bit soggy, and you're like, that's not important, but I still have to read the whole thing because
You never know.
some stuff will be important.
It's interesting and
It
infuriating.
just makes it where it doesn't boil down to just a roll and it's over, because we can roll. You can roll two nat 20s on advantage, and if you miss it in that paper as the player, you miss it. Doesn't matter how good your roll is.
It is really fun for a player to get to do that.
I like props.
Until we forget about the paper completely and just ignore it and come back to it 3 weeks later and we're like, oh wait.
Like the cursed ring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happens every
yeah.
now and again.
Never forget.
Yeah, never forget the cursed ring.
It's in my pocket.
You just have never mentioned it.
Yeah, that's a Lord of the Rings story waiting to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's in my pocket.
That's not like it.
Next campaign.
So the other thing that was interesting from episode 46, at least for me, was how the DM decided to allow locate object to be used. It wasn't a specific object that he allowed it to be used on. It was a class of the same object, because it was all the same ring. and he allowed Domik to use look at object to locate 3 of them across the street from where you guys were trying to glean information.
And then we chase him down.
Well, I mean, if you say, like, locate object, wood,
Yeah.
you know? Like, all wood would pop up.
Well, I would argue that wood is a material, not so much an object.
Everything made of wood would pop up.
I don't know.
I guess you could say like a 6-foot 2x4.
A lot of this is like rulings. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a 6-foot 2x4.
I think the technical spell says designate an object that you are familiar with. And like, are you familiar with like every piece of wood that you would be pinging? No. But I don't. A lot of this is like
But
interpretation.
are you familiar with
but-
this exact ring?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is why I was like, put the rest of the rings in the bag because we don't want decoy pings. I honestly did not expect that to work. I just wanted it to be like, okay, there's nothing in this immediate area. We can go to sleep and start. And tomorrow we can start.
I think that's one of those where the DM uses a little bit of discretion to reward creative problem solving.
Yeah.
He was very
I did
quick.
not think it was going to work.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was very quick to be like, you do find 3 rings.
I was like,
and
wait,
they are down the
what?
street. And we were
Oh
like,
god!
I think
we're
you even,
guys.
I think you even went like, did you put the rings in the bag?
Hey, I was like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Jethro's like, yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're,
So, I mean, the same information could have been gleaned from a perception roll or whatever, but it could have. You could have found out someone was watching you and then investigated, and then they run away, and then you find them.
I mean,
The end result is the same, but how you get there is very much more
Yeah, well,
interesting.
we had a radar.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have to guess where they were running.
track those
like,
boys down.
Yeah, so you track them, and then eventually Jethro's like, oh, at the start of every combat, Jethro possesses somebody.
Let's throw my
And it worked
consciousness.
this time.
passes out.
He was like, no, wait, let's talk.
Okay, well, the combat hasn't even happened. You can't say that it worked.
He's full sprint.
It
just
technically
like,
worked in the fact you possessed him.
Yeah, he's possessed.
He failed his save so far.
And we kind of discussed this off camera. That, like, Jethro's going through it right now. Like, the last combat, he was unconscious for all of it, except for, like, the very end. So, and then, as a result of that combat, he had a near-death experience, Arine had a near-death experience, and left. So, Jethro was like, oh, I gotta prove myself. As soon as he sees the opening, he goes for the possession.
Also, that combat only happened because you did the same thing
Yeah.
first
So it's like,
to Kapoor.
above table, horrible decision.
Very simple.
Like, if I was trying to optimize, I would have held Eldritch Blast until a aggressive action was made to trigger the Eldritch Blast. That's the good decision to make. The Jethro decision to make is
possess.
I was useless last combat, and I'm going to prove myself right now by taking over his body and disarming him completely before any of my allies even get within firing range.
I mean, it may turn out for the best, and there's a good chance that it will, because you basically took the leader and hopefully the strongest member of their party
And disarmed him.
and disarmed the spellbook away.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I still have another turn in his vessel, so... And that is where we ended 46 with Jethro about to look at the ring on his hand, share that information with the team.
But before getting there, you did get the message.
Oh yeah, like 15
yes.
bajillion messages.
I would like to have a conversation with you about Kapoor.
Yeah.
Kapoor is blowing you up.
Yeah, Kapoor sent me like 50 messages.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't talked about that.
I very quickly suppressed those. I put those messages into like one little story bit.
Okay.
But it was, I mean, there's like 10 note cards over here where the whole time, like, we're in the bar, we're chasing these people through the streets, Kapoor's just hitting Jethro messages. Wow. Which Jethro already deals with his double being in his head pretty constantly. So Jethro's mind is already all out of whack. And then now Kapoor is like all in his head. Like, every single time Jethro does something, she mocks him. So when Jethro was arm wrestling the orc, she was like, oh, you look like you're getting weaker. When Jethro was...
You arm wrestle a dude with metal.
That's super funny.
And then Jethro, like, he's in the bar talking to the fighter, and the fighter's just not giving information, and she's like, oh, looks like your words aren't working like they used to. Like, she's mocking him at every turn.
I gotta shake Chris's hand.
And so...
Yeah, that's great.
It's that, like, coupled with Jethro's failure in the last combat has just driven him to the point of he's going to do something stupid.
So, do you think that Kapoor is just like haunting you? Because she says in one of the notes that she doesn't have a body anymore.
Yeah, well, she says, hey, you destroyed my body, and that's when Jethro's like, fine, like, if what you want is vengeance, meet me. Like, let's just handle this right now. Like, I'm tired of this torture. And she basically is like, no. I don't have a vessel, you took that from me, and now I'm going to live rent-free in your head. Although it's not really rent-free, it's costing her spell slots, but it is what it is.
I had a campaign, the high level one I ran, where there was this like god of mischief called Coco, or he was like a demigod really, but he cursed like 2 of the party members until the whole party agreed to do what they do what he wanted to do, and so they were like, no, fuck you, leave. He's like, okay, you're free to leave, and he wasn't allowed to hurt them because of another god's rules they set on, so he cursed them, and somebody used I don't remember what spell it was, but they could see the curse around them, and it's just Coco like hunched on their back with his head like in their ear, and like he was just like bombarding him. That was the curse, and like nobody else could hear it, only the people who were cursed. Wow. But like when you looked at it through that magical lens, it was literally a physical embodiment of him like hunched over their shoulders, like in spirit form, just constantly yelling.
Kapoor on your shoulder.
For Jethro, it's very unsettling because, as was discussed, like Jethro does not have a soul. A part of his agreement was his soul is sealed in the book, which we had that old episode with.
Yeah, we missed that. We glossed over that part.
Yeah, the book was taken from him, and he passed out.
about that.
Because literally his soul
Thought it was
no
another
longer...
Jethro move.
Yeah, his soul is no longer... Like, he has to have his soul within a certain proximity. So, Jethro has no soul, and we killed somebody whose soul is kind of floating in the ether, and is now constantly talking to Jethro, so it's very unsettling.
Oh, man.
Because it's almost like...
Is Kapoor up in there?
Is Kapoor in Jethro right now? Like, is her soul inhabiting his body? We don't know.
Well, the other question I have is if Kapoor is...
She's obviously always watching.
Right, she's able to live without a body. Can she co-inhabit the location that your soul is currently occupying?
Well, so Jethro's soul is in his book. There's also 27 souls in his flask.
Right, but can she...
Did her soul jump into you?
But are you
soul
cohabiting...
Her soul could be in Jethro's body. Her soul could be in the book. It could be in the jar, and she's whispering from the jar. Somehow she's
carrying around the blood too.
Yeah, he's got the blood of Mentis. We've got her cursed ring. Like,
important.
There are a lot of places she could be hiding, but it seems very obvious that she is either scrying on us constantly or with us.
Important point of clarification. Jethro never told anyone that she's looking at us. We don't know that she's spying on us. Yeah. That's huge information that we don't know.
Table thing, but like,
I'm just saying.
None of our characters know that you're.
If you're holding that back, it's like
it's been vaguely mentioned where Jethro's like, she keeps talking to me, but like,
yeah, you never told
Jethro
her that
is
she's
just like her voice is up there, but also Jethro's been living for 3 months with a devil's voice in his head too. So,
but Jethro knows if she's saying, "Hey, you look weak because you failed a strength check," you know she's watching you, and we don't know that.
Allegedly, yes.
No, she's clearly looking at you. So that's knowledge that Jethro has.
Yeah,
that he's not shared with
in
us.
a whole way. That's why, like,
so we're like
his rash decisions make more sense when you put it into that light, because like 3 beings are occupying the same vessel theoretically, and it's just not a good time.
You should share more. It's fine. It's fine.
I like your idea. You're the one who likes to play these characters in these campaigns.
Yeah, this is like my jam. It's a good time for me. Like, I love having a character that's just all over the place.
I have to be responsible.
Which is like, I'm not a big combat fan. That's why, like, when Jethro was incapacitated for like 5 rounds of combat, I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't upset about it. I was like, it'd be cool if I could do something like thematically, but Jethro thrives on RP. That's why when we hit a city, that's his time to shine. Once combat hits, Bolgram, Remdil, you guys do your thing. I'll be back here, probably passed out in the corner.
It reminds me of Community when Pierce fakes heart attacks to get out of stuff. Like, I just imagine
you're gonna fake a fall unconscious one day. Chris is gonna make you roll like a performance check.
I don't have to fake it. I literally do pass out repeatedly. Anytime my soul leaves my perimeter, which is what I background of the devil's possession.
So the book is fair game whenever you possess somebody.
What do you mean? Yeah, the book. My soul leaves the book.
Yeah, so the book's fair game if you're.
So what if? Yeah, what if like Bolgram grabs the book?
All right, that's not going to do anything.
Theoretically, the soul would go back to the book. That's
right. So then,
but then I would also not wake up. Yeah, which we already saw when Bolgram took the book originally.
Soul mechanics.
Jethro just kind of laid there.
Soul mechanics.
My soul's just floating around. It's great.
I like to imagine it's one of those.
It's almost like a train.
Well, I like to imagine it's one of those like air tubes. You know, like a pneumatic.
Air tubes, yeah.
Where the soul just like sucks up and then like drops down.
Pneumatic tubes are a cutting edge technology.
Can we take a second talking about
this full circle?
I do want to say.
I'm not sitting through this again.
The newest Rick and Morty episode mentioned pneumatic tubes, and I'm like, we were there first. We were there first.
Oh man.
It's honestly flawless tech, but
it is.
Moving on.
Yeah. Don't know why anybody would ever waste it. Anyway, continuing.
I mean,
yeah, Jethro's haunted right now. He's making stupid decisions, possibly leading to the party being I mean, technically, his one decision has already led to the party sustaining multiple damages. So it's just, it's a bad time.
Yeah.
Well,
pneumatic tubes aside,
sorry, back on track.
Eventually,
Big side.
we will get to a point where we meet Hannah's new character.
Yes. Hopefully.
Boy.
Depends on how much sidetracking I think Jethro does with conversion therapy and, you know.
Don't know what that's the word for.
No, I think it's close enough. Or let's just call it conversion, I guess. And I assume that her new character will be in the Citadel.
Maybe.
Yes.
So.
That's the theory we're going
It's the largest city.
As players don't know.
Right, yeah.
It just feels like it makes sense.
But we'll see how many episodes it takes you guys to actually get there.
17.
Whether it's next week or Hannah keeps showing up for 3 weeks and just sits there.
Well, if we do find out that she's at the Citadel, we'll probably take as long as possible to get there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no rush, really.
Let's not even go there, guys.
You guys want to go to my home? There's like stone giants there. It's pretty cool.
You know what? Let's go back to Osio. Maybe that's the
I wish that there was a camera pointing at me so the audience could see.
They're not here.
How about we just live in Smyport?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice little...
We tried.
Just be assassins for
Didn't
real.
work.
Decided to live it. We take up residence in Kapoor and Desiree's house.
Yeah!
Dude.
Yes, dude.
It's not technically our house, so we don't have to pay taxes or anything.
I mean,
Perfect plan.
that's a way to go, I guess.
I'm sure the audience is very excited about this.
I am super excited. Well, that said, these guys are making Hannah too sad for us to continue. So you guys will see what happens in episode 47 on this upcoming episode, I believe. You'll get to see Jethro continue to possess people.
Yep,
For,
and be possessed, allegedly.
I guess, good reasons. Thank you guys for joining us so much. Again, if you guys have any thing you guys want to share with us, if you have any questions that you want to ask, please feel free to share them on Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook.
We have a TikTok, I guess,
YouTube,
right?
TikTok, MySpace,
YouTube.
Reddit.
Does MySpace a thing? Man.
We can have a
We
MySpace.
can have a MySpace. If you go to MySpace, we'll make a MySpace.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. We do look forward to seeing you guys next time on the next Above Table. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a good night.